Welcome to Dig Deep, the mining podcast. In this podcast, we go deep into mining news, hot topics, and live interviews with mining professionals and leading figures in the mining industry. Introducing your host, Rob Tyson, founder and director of Mining International and Mining International Executive, a leading global mining recruitment and headhunting agency.
Hi, mining community. Welcome back to another episode of the Dig Deep, the mining podcast. And today's guest is Alex Passmore, who's the CEO of New Murchison Gold, who are an ASX-listed mineral exploration and development company who hold a significant and substantial package of tenements in the prolific Murchison Gold field near Meekatharra in Western Australia. Alex is a geologist by background and spent most of his career on the finance side of the industry. He's an experienced corporate executive and has a number of company directorships under him. And he's on the podcast today to give us an overview of Murchison Gold, update on the operation, views on finance in the industry and in the junior space, and a lot more. So, Alex, welcome to the podcast. How are you doing?
Hi there, Rob. Very well. Great to be on the podcast. And thank you for that fantastic welcome.
Yeah, thank you for agreeing to come on the podcast. And as we always start these off, I just wondered if you could just give us a background. Tell us a little bit about yourself, about your career, how you got into the mining industry, sort of up to present day.
Yeah, sure. So originally I studied as a geologist and went and worked for one of the bigger companies in Australia at the time, Western Mining Corporation, or WMC, in their nickel business and also in their phosphate business, actually, over in Queensland. So started life as a geo out on mine sites and exploration at those various sites, as well as mining geology and sort of the more process driven geology. But at the same time, I had an interest in finance, and I'd studied finance at uni as well. So then followed that interest, did some postgraduate postgraduate stuff in finance. And then, after about 4 years of doing geology out in the field, and I then converted over slowly over a year or two into becoming a mining equities analyst. So buy, hold and sell recommendations for a stockbroking firm called Patterson Ord Manette, as it was called then. It later became Patterson's, and has recently become Canaccord. Or the Australian branch is Canaccord. Yeah. I guess that was very much the start of of my foray into finance. After some time being a mining equity analyst, I moved to corporate finance. So that was raising money for companies and helping them get their projects off the ground. So all of that background, I guess, leads you through that to have a good filter about what works, what doesn't, what style of raising money works for what stage of the mining project, different quality filters, on mining projects, what sort of grades and costs work and don't work, and what are believable and not believable, on various projects and in various places.
Great. Wonder if you can just give us an overview of New Murchison Gold, just give a snapshot of the company.
It's a New Murchison Gold and a gold miner in the Murchison district of Western Australia, near Meekatharra, which is around 750 kilometres from Perth by road, it is in the Murchison Gold district with several other gold companies that are quite well known. So Westgold Resources is a well known one that's in our area. Ramelius further to the south. Catalyst and the Platonic operation is to the north of us. So we're in a belt that has historically produced a lot of gold and still has a lot of gold endowment in the area. So New Murchison has had the tenure in this area for many years, and has been growing that tenure over time. I joined the company around about 3 years ago, and gave it a real laser focus on gold on this area. The company had other assets it was financially sort of not in the best place. So we recapitalised the company, focused on these gold assets in the Murchison, and as luck would have it, we've had some great exploration success since then. Probably due to being well funded, and looking at the geological models and doing some good geology, and we've managed to unlock significant value by discovering the Crown Prince ore body, or discovering the southeastern zone of the Crown Prince ore body, which then underpinned a big uplift in resources and a big uplift in and then that underpinned the publication of an ore reserve earlier this year. So here we are, I guess 2.5 years after raising that money, recapitalising the company, discovering just hitting the edge of the ore body, the new ore body, to mining. So it's been a pretty rapid progress and development pathway, but we're very happy that it's gone so well. So we're planning to mine 140,000 ounces from an open pit as a start at around 4 grams per tonne, or around 4.5 grams per tonne actually, and that's just the start. We see that there's an underground operation below that.
Just wondering if you can just tell us the current status of site activity at Crown Prince, and are you on track for first blast and or delivery timeline?
Sure. So things are very, very busy on site. We've established offices, workshops, started mining the first pit. We're actually 4 blasts in as we sit here and speak in mid-July. So that we'd said to the market we'd have our first blast away on the 30th of June, and we did. And in fact, we've done 4 since then. And to have mining approvals given on the 26th of June, and to be blasting on the 30th of June, just shows how rapidly we've been progressing things. So that goes to cost, and we're doing things properly, of course. But the faster we can get into production, that really saves on that funding gap between spending all the money on setting up the operation and getting into first cash flow.
Why was now, I suppose, the right time to move into production, and what gives you confidence in the team's ability to execute smoothly?
So we are selling our ore. So we sell gold in ore and get paid 83% of the value of the gold that's in that ore to Westgold Resources, which has a plant, the Bluebird plant, 36 kilometres by road to the south of the Crown Prince operation. And so that plant has capacity now because Westgold are mining an underground ore body, and they're not able to fill their 1.8 million tonne per annum mill to its capacity because they're mine constrained from the underground. Now, Westgold, quite smartly, are obviously looking at their own ground and looking at open pit opportunities and other satellite opportunities to fill their own mill. So in the meantime, we slot quite nicely into the production profile, and are able to utilise that mill on terms that are acceptable to us and to them. So that was that. In a nutshell, that's the key driver. Why now? It's because we know there's that window of production opportunity using the Bluebird mill. Now, further down the track, and I'm talking sort of 2 or 3 years away, if we have exploration success, we have more ore around the Crown Prince operation, or Lydia, or Abbott's, or some of our own satellite projects, a mill in our area might be the best option. And that may be at the same time that Westgold are starting to see the Bluebird mill reach its capacity because it's bringing on other satellite projects. So but we've got time to sort that out, and we're busily looking at our own deposits and which ones underpin that sort of concept as well.
How confident are you in the grade and tonnage assumptions for Crown Prince, and is there scope for upside as obviously mining progresses?
Yeah, so it's a gold ore body. It does have a high nugget, well, like all gold ore bodies in this part of the world. So we top cut when we do a resource estimate. We apply a top cut or a distance limiting factor to high grade. So we use a combination of both. So that is reducing the influence of a high grade intersection might have on the resource. And so when you come to mine that. That conservatism, or sorry, that estimation method can sometimes lead to conservatism. So, the degree of high grades might be, in fact, be undercalled. Now we've done 10 by 10 metre grade control drilling, so we're confident in the ore body and the grades. As we've put out publicly and the production profile. So we are confident in that there's a good base there. And there might be, an overcall as the deposit goes through our crushing and sampling plant, before it goes, on its way to the Westgold Bluebird mill. So, we both ourselves and Westgold will share in that upside, and that will be captured through the crushing and sampling process, at our operation.
How important is the relationship with Westgold beyond the obviously toll treatment? Could it evolve into something more strategically, obviously in the future?
Westgold are our biggest shareholder with 15.4%. They've been very supportive. They've come along in the follow-on raises that we've done, capital raisings that we've done since they first came on in May 2024. They've made money out of every progressive raising that we've done, along with all the other shareholders and investors that have come along. Really, they're a supportive shareholder because they want a broader relationship with regard to the ore purchase agreement, and that they're supportive of us using their mill because not only do they get paid for it, but also they're a big shareholder. So it's a win-win for both parties. It's a win for their shareholders using their investment in us going well, and also a win for our shareholders being able to use their relatively underutilized mill. So it's working well. We deal with them daily on an operational basis. I've got a good line of communication in with the management hierarchy as well. And everyone's cordial, respectful, and it's a good relationship that's working well.
How are you prioritising capital between near mine development and regional exploration? And what's the strategy for unlocking further value from your 677 kilometres square land holding?
Sure. So at the moment we are heavily focused on getting the operation into production. We're lucky because we don't need a lot of capital as we're not building a plant. So the main requirement that we have is a working capital requirement. So this is not dead money. It's money where we're paying our contractors, that being the miners and the ancillary people and also the crushing contractor, the lab contractors, before we get paid. So there's a lag of about 1.5 months between us shipping ore off to Bluebird to actually receiving the money in the bank, and that is understandable because Bluebird have it has to land on the Bluebird ROM pad, then they put it into their production mix, and then so forth and so forth. But that's a maximum payment timeline for us is 6 weeks, and it actually doesn't to be clear on that point, it doesn't depend on them putting it through their mill. We get paid based on what they pick up actually from the site, and we have a very robust process around parcels and ore parcels and agreed grades and recoveries, and they however many parcels we plan to deliver per month, Westgold know about, and then they come and pick it up, and we get paid no later than 6 weeks later. However, that does create 6 weeks of paying the bills when you're a startup at full noise in mining, without any revenue. So that is about a $15 million working capital requirement, which we have well covered. We've got 29 million in the bank. So, so that's sort of our focus at the moment. Now, when we start receiving revenue, we'll go back to looking at our broader 677 square kilometre package. The area of exploration that we are actually still, looking at and not in any way sort of cutting back on is the underground extensions at Crown Prince, which we're, highly confident of. So that's after the pit finishes, what happens to, below 140 metres. We're saying around 1,200 ounces per vertical metre beneath the pit at Crown Prince. And, if you know gold mining, the rough rule of thumb is around 900 ounces per vertical metre to be, something interesting from an underground point of view. An ounce of our endowment will be well and truly, in the zone for a good underground. So, that all occurs within a 400 by 300 metre area. So, that's a lot of ounces in a small area, per metre as you go down. So we're keeping the momentum going on that, and we're also, looking at maybe what other prospects do we have? What other satellite prospects do we have that we can look at, after the Crown Prince open pit finishes.
How would you describe the current appetite in the market for junior gold explorers and sentiment shifted since or during this year?
So it has been very hot for the first 6 months, or certainly in the second quarter calendar year 2025. So in the June quarter, there was a lot of raisings, a lot of capital raisings completed. A lot of those were heavily oversubscribed, including we did too. We did our pre-production capital raising in that period as well. Some of our peers did raisings at skinny discounts with heavily subscribed for books of demand. So it's been a really strong period for the gold juniors. Now that's started to soften a bit in July. You've just seen the share prices of some of those companies that raised, a heap of money come off. Perhaps people are, starting to slow down in terms of their appetite, and there's been a great deal of supply from those capital raisings. So, speaking from our own company's point of view, we elected not to take over subscriptions, and keep the capital raising more tight, for those reasons. But we have seen, several raisings upscaled. They go out, the brokers or the lead managers will go out with a term sheet looking for X, and then they come back and announce to the market that they've raised 2 times what they're looking for, or 1.5 times what they're looking for because of strong demand. So that's great that the companies are funded and they have a robust balance sheet, but it also can kill the demand for the shares on the other side, because everyone's got enough shares and a big enough position, and they don't want to add to that in the market.
With obviously so many junior explorers struggling to differentiate between each other, what's your approach to obviously delivering tangible shareholder value?
So, delivering the Crown Prince gold mine on time, getting into production with first ore. We're mining now, stockpiling. We're mining and establishing the site now. All stockpiles will start to be built throughout August, and then we're crushing in late August, with all parcels starting to be sent to Westgold in September. So, one of the key differentiators for us is getting into production. So that's one point, and then the other point is just the high grade nature of the ore body. We have a reserve grade of 4 grams and a resource grade of almost 5 grams. So, in an open pit, that's really quite useful, and also stands apart from a lot of our peers, all in the one deposit.
Are you seeing interest from institutional investors now, or is it still retail driving the momentum?
So, both, but we've added, we've got some really strong supportive instos on our register. and we're very, very happy that they're there. And they're the guys that can, that can write big checks, when you need to, build a project into, bring it into production, which we have done. So, the instos give you certainty of funding, I suppose. But the retail is such an important aspect of anyone's, shareholding base. So, in terms of the secondary market liquidity, the retail shareholders are super important. So, we have a good mix of both. We still, despite having a hell of a lot of shares on issue, over 10 billion shares on issue, which we sometimes get criticised for, and that reflects the age of the company and the need to have done a couple of real rescue capital raisings, about 3 years ago. We still have a relatively tight top structure of our shareholding list. So the top 20 own, from memory, about 69% of our shares. So 70% of all shares held in the top 20 entities. So that's still quite tightly held, which is good.
And lastly, what's the sort of short to medium term outlook once production is established, and what's the longer, I suppose, term vision for New Murchison Gold?
So establish production, understand the underground below the Crown Prince open pit, put out a feasibility study on that, so the market knows, what the growth's like. Then look at there's two key satellite deposits, Lydia and Abbots, that sit on granted mining leases that have scale and have decent grades. So they're the next ones that we're looking at. So some news on those, which will be really important to show that we're not just the Crown Prince operation. So Crown Prince will be producing at around 60,000 ounces, annualised. And if we can bring on the other two, plus Crown Prince, then suddenly we start to have a bit more scale and heading towards that magic 100,000 ounce production per annum rate. The other thing that we're mindful of is the Crown Prince open pit has a 2.5-year life. So that underground is very important to keep that operation going. At about the same production rates after the pit's finished.
Alex, appreciate your time. Thank you for coming on and sharing your story, telling us about New Murchison Gold, and giving us obviously an update on progress, and good luck with production as you move forward. If our audience wants to reach out to you, if they've got any questions, if they want to follow the story, how can they go about doing that, and what social media platform channels yourself and the company on?
Sure. Yes. So that we'd love that. Yeah. If you're, if your listeners and would like to follow the company, so we often provide updates on LinkedIn. We are, and also on X. But between the website, which also embeds all the ASX releases, is the first port of call. But then for more immediate updates, I suppose LinkedIn and X. So our website is newmerchgold.com.au. Fairly easy to remember, and the ASX ticker is NMG. So please, I'd encourage all of your audience to have a look.
Yeah, and we'll include those in the show notes accompanying this for easy access. So thank you for coming on the podcast. Hopefully you can come on next year and give us an update on production and anything else that you've been doing, and maybe some exploration results as well. So be more welcome for you to come on the podcast sometime during 2026.
Fantastic, Robert. I appreciate that. That'll be great. Look forward to it.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you. Thank you for listening. Hope you enjoyed that episode. As always, appreciate your continued support. And please follow Alex and New Murchison Gold in their activities in terms of production of gold. So as always, appreciate if you can share these episodes far and wide all across the world, not just obviously in Australia where this episode is focused on, but appreciate educating the industry anywhere around the world. So thank you for listening again. Hope you enjoyed that episode, and until next time, happy mining.
Thank you for listening. Remember to reach out to Rob via the show notes, and be sure to subscribe and leave a review. Until next time, happy mining, helping each other to improve the mining industry.